Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Everybody wants to own a boat, right? We know you do. Who doesn't want to own a boat? The big question is, can you find the right boat at the right price for you? And you can if you go to Madisonville Marine. That's because there's no better place to buy a boat. There hasn't been for the last 45 years. Right here in East Tennessee, people have been going there. Whether you got people from Georgia going there, you got people from Nashville going there, you got people from Knoxville going there, Chattanooga going there. In terms of their internet sales, it is amazing. They deliver boats all over the country. Why? Great deals, tremendous inventory. And that's not a sales pitch. That is absolute fact. Madisonville Marine, madmarine.com to learn more. Get down there, visit them, Highway 411 North in Madisonville, of course. All right. When it comes to former Vols in Canton, it is a short list. It's been Doug Atkins since 1982, Reggie White since 2006, which seems like that was farther back when he went in. And then Peyton Manning goes in tonight. So 3 guys, that's it. To put that in perspective, Notre Dame and Southern Cal both have 13 guys in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Michigan has 11, Ohio State has 10, Alabama leads the way in the SEC with 8. Tennessee now with 3. Jamal Lewis and Gerard Mayo recently made the list of candidates. Neither one of them made it to the cut down of 25. There's a cut down to 25, then a cut down to 15, and then they get down to the actual guys who get in. So Jamal Lewis would have to come from way outside the track, and I don't think Mayo is going to get a shot. But we'll save some of that for the next segment. What I want to talk about is just the sheer level of idolatry that Vol fans have for Peyton Manning. Will anyone ever surpass that? I mean, you think Reggie White was a great player here, nowhere near Peyton Manning. Doug Atkins, that was so long ago, but he was never. You had Majors, who was Manning before Manning, but even he didn't have the long 20-year pro career, wasn't the national figure. He had the personality, but he didn't have the national cachet of being a legendary pro football player. In terms of just sheer love, what would it take? Because I don't know that anybody's ever going to do it. What would it take for someone?
I think you'd have to lead Tennessee back to the promised land. I think you'd have to take the Vols to a national championship game and win it. Or I think you'd have to come back for your senior year, whatever year it is, and do something that matches that type of, Peyton Manning-esque, talent and ability, and how much people adored him around here.
I think that's the right track. You got to win a national championship and stay 4 years.
Yeah.
And if you do that, then maybe you're in that conversation, and have a couple of giraffes named after you. That would help.
Well, I think you also have to win a Heisman. I think that's the key. Mm-hmm. I think if somebody wants to do it, they're going to have to be the first Tennessee guy to win a Heisman. I think that's going to be part of it. Mm-hmm. But the thing that I think is going to hurt anybody, Majors had a great personality. Don't know what he would have been like as a player, but the media loved interviewing Johnny Majors. The national guys, you can go back and watch those old clips on YouTube, and you could tell they loved talking with him. But he wasn't in an era like Peyton Manning was, where there's media everywhere. You're going to have somebody who not only deals with that, but has that kind of personality that Manning has. I don't know that any man who's worth the money he's worth is an everyman, but he comes across as an everyday guy. And I think that is a huge part of the love that people have for him. Everybody feels like they can go up, hey, Peyton! And I think that counts for something. So if you're just a great player and just win a national title, even if you win the Heisman, but you're kind of a standoffish guy, you don't have that personality, I don't know that that's going to connect. I think that's a part of his mystique as well.
I think it is too. I think it's personality. I think it's the way he embraces and carries the flag for Tennessee everywhere he goes. Yeah. I think it's all that stuff. And so, to your point, it's got to be somebody pretty special personality-wise, not just a good player. And I don't think it's just the national championship thing. We saw that right after Peyton Manning. T. Martin played. I mean, he wasn't a 4-year starter, but four-year player, quarterback that led them to the national championship. He's not remembered the same way as Peyton Manning, obviously. So it takes somebody. It's probably going to take about a Heisman winner, like you said, and someone with the right personality. And in today's day and age, where more players are kind of out there on social media and stuff, maybe even harder to do because we see more players' warts these days. There are things for you to not like about every player. It seems that's harder to beat Peyton Manning in today's game, I think.
Yeah, you'd have to have somebody that stays out of politics.
Yeah.
And I will say that Manning's got one thing going for him in terms of his future popularity is he's made it clear I'm not going to coach. Yeah. Majors was Manning before Manning till he came back as coach. that kills it. You know,
I'll
because
say-
then you get people that, as Manning said a few years ago, I think he was in Athens speaking, and he said, I don't need to lose half my friends
Right.
because I make the wrong call on third down. Shows how smart he is.
I'll say the one thing that could maybe allow a player to surpass Peyton Manning in that area, if he was homegrown. That's the one thing Peyton Manning was
Yeah.
not. If you had an in-state player who reached that level, I think that would make fans adore him in a different way maybe. So that's one thing that could help.
Yeah.
I think, you know, another thing that helped the Manning mystique around here was simply that name Manning.
Have an Archie who played in the SEC and
Right.
had a history with Tennessee. Yeah.
I mean, think
Archie
about,
who?
And he came to Tennessee and not Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Yes, and for 4 years, it was almost like Tennessee stole Archie too, because every game you'd see Archie sitting there in the stands next to Olivia, and you get the whole thing. Well, heck, you still got people that pull for Eli. It's like, what the hell did he ever have to do anything with Tennessee? But there are people like, well, I like Eli. Well, he's Peyton's brother. Okay, I don't have a poster of Cooper Manning on my wall, but it's just bizarre. I think that it allowed you to kind of claim some other school's first family. It was almost like, well, Archie's with us now. And I think a player, I don't know that somebody else coming in is going to have that kind of mystique. Maybe the local homegrown thing could topple that. But he came in with, when you didn't sign Peyton Jones, you signed Peyton Manning. You got some legendary name that came in here when you got him. So I think that's part of it as well. And then the fact that he's like Charles Barkley and Terry Bradshaw, he's just one of those guys that's naturally kind of funny, and people like that.
And if you're going to have their own, like, separate Monday Night Football kind of thing, where it's going to be just like being at a sports bar with Peyton
Yeah.
and watching the game.
Yeah.
That kind of connection.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly difficult for anybody to ever. I mean, we gave a lot of boxes to check. You almost have to check them all to get to that level. I mean, you had Trey Smith last year said, I'm coming back, and everybody, oh great, yawn.
So
That's terrific, but Peyton's already done that.
you almost have to be a quarterback.
Exactly, that's what I was
Quarterback
thinking.
or running back maybe, but probably a quarterback.
If Heath Schuler had won the Heisman, I don't think Peyton would have been as big as he was. I think Schuler had that popularity. If he'd won the Heisman, and even if he'd gone, but he won the Heisman and talked about his love, he might have been the bigger star. But he didn't win the Heisman, and he left. And that set the table for Peyton to come in and say, I'm not leaving you like Heath did. I love you.
And there wasn't anybody arguing that Heath Schuler should have won the Heisman Trophy.
You didn't think Charlie Ward was deserving?
Even if I saw Heath Schuler yesterday and he was like, no, Charlie Ward was a great player because somebody brought it up to
Yeah.
him. But with this thing, with Woodson and Manning,
Yeah.
obviously a lot of sympathy from the fan base toward him.
True, yeah, because he got wronged just as they got wronged. Yeah. All right. When we come back, we're always looking for.
That's a
East
country
Tennessee.
song, John.
That's an East Tennessee thing. We're always looking for some reason to put a chip on our shoulder. I already did the Hank Jr. lyric
Yeah, I know,
earlier.
I know.
I'll sing in the next segment. No, I
Please.
won't.
Uh-oh.
When we come back,
Check, please.
when we come back, are there any current VFLs in the NFL who could wind up in Canton at some point? And which Vols who've just retired, maybe going in, who could get in? That's next. Coming back on the Sports.